so much, brother, for receiving the call, man. I greatly appreciate you, brother.
Oh, man, absolutely. It's an absolute honor to be with you, brother. Thank you for the invitation.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. And the late notice as well, right? Like right on the cusp, brother.
All good. All
Yes,
good. I'm
sir.
here.
Yes, sir. So, we're wrapping up, brother. This is the Myrtle Beach Mastermind, B2B, business to brand. We are, this is a transformation. We just came from the beach, brother. We just came from the beach. Yeah, we just put the whole resort. We basically put the whole state on notice, brother.
Let's go. Let's go.
So these phenomenal ladies and leaders behind me are going back. Right, we're going to close out at Ruth Chris. Then they got to go back to their neighborhood. They got to depart together, but separate and be in the same place that they came from. And I need them to anchor it in. I need them to anchor it in. Right. So there's two things that I really need to help them with, and I want you to help me help them. Right, because like singular, we are powerful, but together we are unstoppable.
Yeah.
Please understand it. Singular, we are powerful, but together we are unstoppable. So I wanted to bring another powerhouse, one of my super friends, to help me, to join hands with me in combat and help me anchor it in for you how important marketing is and marketing your business consistently. Being proud of yourself, not being ashamed of yourself, and being able to use this tool as a publishing mechanism, as a way to level the playing field, to market yourself and your business, number one. And then number two, to help me emphasize and drive home the importance of community. Because we just took a walk on the beach, brother, and they just gave us, they just split like the Red Sea. Everything just parted like the Red Sea, brother. They got out of our way. It seemed like there was nobody else on the resort. Like we took the resort for ourselves.
Yeah.
Right. And I'm telling them that's the kind of power that you have when you unite. And there's an ability to separate from that power, but still have it with you as long as you revisit it time to time.
Yeah. Yeah.
Right. So I mean,
good.
I don't want to take anything more from you, brother, because I know what you got is phenomenal. We don't rehearse either. This is all organic. Touched him at the last moment, told him to give you whatever is on his heart. Brother, I'm going to leave you alone and just let you speak to the people, brother. Thank you so much again.
Oh,
guys,
yeah, no.
Anthony Flynn, real quick before you begin.
All right. Yes, sir. Well, man, thanks so much for having me again.
Yes, sir.
Shaan, it's an honor to join you, man. I'm always enthusiastic when I have an opportunity to spend time with you. Shaan gives me energy and life, and I know he's doing the same thing for you all. So make sure that you take that energy and life, and as he said, make sure that when you go back to your various areas, make sure you're ready to go back and execute everything that he shared for you. As he said, my name is Anthony Flynn, and the quick drop is I have a company. Well, first of all, let me say my pride and joy. I always have to lead with my pride and joy, which is my family. I'm not a guy who talks about it. I'm a guy who actually lives it out. My wife and my kids, my wife and I have been together for 25 years total, 20 years of marriage. We have a beautiful son who is a rising sophomore at The Ohio State University. And we have a daughter who's a rising junior in high school. And so, man, my family is everything to me. And so as Shaan stated, in fact, we were celebrating my wife's birthday this weekend. So part of the short notice of timing was me getting back to Shaan, letting him know to confirm the time. So as soon as I'm off with you all, I'm jumping right back into family matters. But very quickly, as he said, you all, I have a company called Amazing CEO. I started this company in October of 2017. And just to give you perspective, we're now running, it's a 7-figure business, right? It was basically built from my laptop. I mean, I had some in-person meetings, of course, of course I have a track record and a history that I had to develop in order to get to a place where I could actually have the momentum to launch this kind of brand. But ultimately, I started the company in 2017 because over the course of all these years, I've been walking side by side with CEOs, with key executives, professional athletes, entertainers, literally some of the most influential people in the entire world. And so that formal mission is to provide, is to increase productivity, profitability, and sustainability for CEOs and key executives. And so literally I spend time in the trenches doing executive coaching, as well as consulting. And I do some speaking, but I know my tip of the arrow. My tip of the arrow is spending time with high capacity CEOs and key executives, one-on-one, mostly in the trenches with them, helping them to develop themselves and their businesses. So Shaan mentioned that I had the privilege of spending some one-on-one time with with Eric Thomas, and he reached out to me back in December of 2018, and he said, "Hey, man, I'm really looking to take my game to the next level. I'm ready to accelerate things, and so I would love it if you would allow me to tell the world you're my coach." And I said, "Yeah, sure. Let me think about it." Right, and of course, in 2019, we're blessed to say that just as a result of E and I spending some time together, he was able to increase his income by over 70%. And so if you were to trace back some of the podcasts or even some of the environments we've spoken in, you'll hear E talk about how one of his dreams and aspirations was to actually buy a second home, so live bi-coastal. And so we helped him accomplish that dream. Once I sat down with him and I heard him and understood what his dreams were, boom, we put the plan in place and away we go. And so the reason all of that is important is because, going back to Shaan, he asked me to talk about two things. So what if nobody ever knew who I was? So here I am, this guy. In fact, here's what's powerful. I think I only saw one hand. Only one of you know who I am, right? And so the reason this is so important is because back in 2017, when I decided to launch the company, I knew that I wanted to target CEOs and key executives. And I knew I had all these skills and I had all this acumen and I had all this history with working with all these high net worth celebrities and executives, et cetera, but nobody knew who I was. So from that point, I knew I had to take the platform that I knew most of my potential clients actually lived on. So I developed a brand, I got the logo done and got the website done and all of that. But then, as Shaan stated, I had to start putting myself out there in the market. And so, yeah, website, but I hired my first social media expert who began helping me place the brand where I needed the brand to be. And that's an important point. Hear me out. Place the brand where you need the brand to be. Why is that relevant?
Yeah, guys. Place the brand where you need the brand to be at.
Yep, catch that. Because my clients don't hang out on Instagram mostly. My clients don't hang out on TikTok mostly. So here's what's crazy, you all. My biggest client is a Japanese company where the CEO does not even speak English. So every time I meet with the CEO, we have an interpreter online. And this company is the largest company in the world that does what they do. They're publicly traded. They're not traded on a US exchange. They're traded on the Nikkei, which is an Asian exchange. And man, they found me through my media work. I had gone to meet the company several years back, but through my constant presence on LinkedIn, the interpreter had been following me and remembered me when the new CEO stepped in, and boom, they reached out and away we go. Also, I was just in Atlanta 2 weeks ago now, it wasn't last week, but I had the Atlanta Hawks. I also signed Coca-Cola. In both cases, my social media presence on LinkedIn, particularly for me, is what galvanized the energy behind them bringing me in. So I went into Atlanta to see three clients, three really of my biggest clients, and all three of those actually were following me on LinkedIn. So I can't tell you how important it is to invest in your social media and your media presence. It's so critical because you could be a diamond in the rough. Hey, you all had no idea who I am. Then Shaan introduces me as ET's coach. You all had no idea of that. You didn't know I was working with NFL and the Atlanta Hawks, because I'm placing my brand where I say that respectfully. I don't say, it's not like I'm not open to interacting with other potential clients. I'm simply saying that my deliberation and my intentionality is to be where the types of clients are that I want to actually work with. And so what's been cool is I've been able to create that pathway and walk in that pathway. The exact targets I was after are the targets that are now coming to me to sign me as their coach and as their consultant. So Yep.
How long did it take you? We know you at seven figures. You said you started in 2017. Sometimes people get discouraged when they drop something, they start to brand themselves, but it doesn't pop immediately. It doesn't pop in 6 months. It doesn't pop in 18 months, and they get burnt out. So I want you to just give the people an idea of how long it took for you to gain traction.
Yeah. So I would say this had, let me say that I was blessed within the first 90 days. I gained some traction. I was doing 6 figures in the first 90 days because I'd already been doing a lot of the legwork. However, well, let me say in the first 6 months, actually. So it was within the first 90 days so I launched the brand in October of 17, within the first 90 days of 18. So my website went up in October of 17, but I didn't really hit the ground running until January. So I had kind of a 90-day plan. So I should say more 6 months from launch. The website went up like October 1st, 6 months or so from launch, I was at a 6-figure mark. But Shaan, I would say honestly, man, it's just this year that I really hit that huge 7-figure stride.
Yeah,
Right.
definitely.
Yeah, it was this year. So yeah, catch that, everybody.
19, 20, 21, 22, 4 years. Remember I said 7 times 7 times 7? 4 years. Now, this is very important, super critical for us. And you're just give an inkling, right? Because I want them to have the background and the root story real quick.
Yep.
Education, experience, and expertise. What is your education? What is your experience and your expertise? And why is it so important that you stay in that sweet spot?
Yep. So I have a background, my education, or business major, also a master's degree. I actually specifically have a seminary degree, so it combines business and essentially developing people, right? And so fast forward, so you said education, experience. So with those degrees, I spent time in Fortune 500 companies where I had some, pretty high ratings pretty quickly out of college, as well as I've spent the last, I had spent the last 15 years prior to launching the company actually doing a lot of people development, community-oriented, ministry-oriented, nonprofit, philanthropic-oriented work. I'd written a couple of books, et cetera. So I spent a lot of time honing in the education and the experience, the craft itself. And then what was that third E, Shaan?
Expertise.
Oh, yeah. And then the expertise. So let me tell you when the epiphany hit me on the expertise. So all those years that I've been, about 15 years of grinding. I mean, I'm talking about grinding. I got flown out to Southern California, just north of Santa Barbara. And it was at a ranch of a good friend of mine who was a Fortune 200 CEO. And he had 100 white male CEOs in the room, all these wealthy guys from Harvard and Princeton and all this stuff, you name it, very wealthy group of guys. And I spoke to that audience, and I'm the only person of color in the whole, probably in the town practically at that time.
That's right. You only one in the state. Go ahead, brother.
Yeah, and look, it was game changing because after I spoke, man, these guys came up to me. They're putting their heads on my shoulders in tears, literally. And I said, boom, I got something. That was the epiphany that woke me up and realized that my education, experience, and the other E, I keep forgetting it, Shaan. Expertise. That perfect storm of those 3 E's coming together happened after about 15 years of grinding.
After 15 years, thank you so much. Because everybody, it's like if it doesn't happen overnight, I'm going. Right?
Yeah.
They join something, then they say, well, when does the ROI come? And I always tell people, I said the ROI is based on the SOI. So your return on investment comes based on the speed of implementation.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
And I know. Go ahead, brother. What's on your mind? What's on your heart?
No, please. I'm just agreeing with you.
I know your time is important, and I appreciate just for a moment. I just want everybody to understand, like, Flynn is super high level. That's why nobody knows him. That's why he's ET coach, right? And the people who need to know him are the people who do know him because his marketing plan makes sense. He's not all over the place. He's not going live on IG because his people are not on IG. So remember, I told you, business, first rule of business, location, location, location. Where are your clients? Where are the people who's your ideal client? No, who's your ideal client? People who can pay you, right? People who can pay you. Let's go there first. Idealistic, but then ideal. Make sure they can pay you. So when you want a certain pay grade, you build the ideal life that you want to have, and then you build the ideal business that's going to support that life. So Flynn set goals as far as the income and the revenue and the quality of life that he wants for himself, children, wife, and then he builds the ideal business that's going to support that and doesn't look to the right or to the left. Laser training. Laser training. Stay locked in, stay dialed in. Flynn, how important has being in a community that is supportive, focused, laser targeted been to your consistency and your ability to build momentum and then keep continuity amidst the constant barrage of real life situations?
Oh, Shaan, bro, I can't even, you all please hear this. In fact, how I even met ET in the first place was I joined the community. So I was a customer before E and I got to a point where he became a client. I was a client of theirs before he became a client of mine. I was eating the dog food from them before they started eating my dog food. Right. And so that's important, Shaan, because here's what's crazy, y'all. I had the skill and experience this whole time. What's crazy is not a whole lot has changed about me. I mean, I've read many more books. I've obviously grown. I'm a voracious reader and learner. So of course, every day I'm growing and learning. But generally speaking, a lot of the same relationships I had back then, I have now. I just wasn't capitalizing on them. I got into community and it changed everything, because in community, I saw, ooh, whoa, that person's doing that. And in community, I saw, whoa, it's 20 other people executing like that. Like, whoa, what? And man, it changed my life. Like, y'all got to hear me on the community tip. You can be the most gifted, most talented person in the world. Absent community, there is no way you're going to fully optimize who you are. It's just, and please hear me, with the people I walk with every single day, every one of them is living at the level of greatness they're living at because of community. Now, there's character and competency and chemistry and a number of other things that I talk about when I speak, but I'm telling you, community has everything to do with my success. I would not be where I am. Me and Shaan wouldn't know each other without that community. Right. So that's right. It's been a game changer for me. And again, what was the biggest regret I have is that I wasn't a part of this particular community sooner. Now, I will say this last thing, Shaan. I like to say, show me your 3 closest friends and I'll show you your future.
Give them a round of applause on that. Come on.
Now here,
that's right. We talked about it.
And the reason that's important is because I had community before, but I had that community. Those community members were low riders. They were low riders. They weren't trying to get to
hold on. I'm sorry. Did you say low riders, brother?
I said low riders, bro.
They was low riders.
Yeah, low riders. Shaan, they were comfortable, just trying to get to 100 grand. Right. Whoa. And so that I mean annually. Right. They were trying to make 100 grand annually. Right. I'm like, and I knew, Shaan, I always knew something was wrong with that. Meaning that was the epitome. That was the peak.
Best life. That was their best life.
That was the best life. It was all I knew. By the way, I didn't tell y'all, I was born to a teenage mom in poverty. So I grew up in poverty. I grew up around much of my family. So of course, 6 figures in my world at that time was like, oh, wow. But then I got around some racehorses. I got around I got around people like Shaan, right? And it's like, oh, okay, we can go now. Okay, I got it. We can go now.
Come on, guys. We can go now.
Yeah.
Right. And I know you started to go into something about the competency, the character. Go ahead, brother. Please expound on that. Please expound on that. Give them some jewels. Be organic. It's phenomenal. It's completely wanted, warranted, appreciated, needed, received with open arms and warmly, brother. Go right ahead.
Teach. Well, just real quick, those 5 C's that so I talk about culture. I learned the importance of culture from a guy named Don Soderquist. I mean, I've been hearing about it, but I went and stayed in the personal home of a guy named Don Soderquist, who he succeeded Sam Walton. When Sam Walton, Sam Walton founded Walmart, and when Sam Walton retired, Don Soderquist succeeded him and took Walmart from 40 billion in operating revenue to over 240 some billion in 11 years. Single greatest growth for a retail brand in our world's history. Not even sure if we'll ever see that again. Now, Amazon online, etc., but we're talking big box retailer, a $200 billion growth in 11 years. And so he talked about the culture. And that's when I really grabbed hold of the importance of, what you're building. You have to have a climate that speaks to the direction and the path you're actually trying to take. So if you're trying to build a culture and you bring in people that distract you from the culture, from the core values you're trying to build, it can ruin everything you're trying to build. So of course, character, don't let talent take you where character cannot sustain you. There are so many athletes and professional, there are a lot of big name people that I work with that because of their issues with character, they have the talent, but they can't stay on top because their character keeps pulling them down and tearing them down. Right. And so competency, of course, you have to have, when you put me in front of a CEO, I need to be able to deliver. So when I got a call from Coca-Cola and they said, hey, you're going to be working with the downline of the CFO of North America, and I'm up against a major Fortune 500 brand that they have on retainer. They said, we already have a company, a major brand on retainer that does coaching for our business, but we saw you online and we heard about some of the nuggets you were dropping, and we have a particular executive in our company that we think you can help. Tell us about your process. And in a 45-minute interview, I had to pitch a C-suite executive at Coca-Cola on why they should bring little old me in compared to a Fortune 500 company that they already have on retainer. And they said, we're going to be paying you more money, but we actually like your process and your strategy better than the company we already have on retainer. So I took that 45 minutes and I killed it. And boom, I landed that contract.
Hold on, Anthony. Hold on. Thank you so much, brother. But let me just pull out some salient points, right, for everybody. Or let me clarify to make sure that I'm right. Number one, you marketed consistent. First, you set a target. You set a target for quality of life, and then you set a target for the business model that's going to sustain that quality of life.
Absolutely.
Do you believe that revenue is the lifeblood of business?
Oh, absolutely.
Okay, so you set a number target. Built the business around the number target. Consistently marketed, put up the needs, the must-haves, the website, the logo the right way. The website the right way, the logo the right way. Those were some investments, weren't they?
Oh, absolutely, definitely.
Yeah, and then you went to work and you marketed consistently with no real traction, no real no drips, like maybe small drips here and there, but nothing huge until about 6 months. And that was based on prior relationships, basically, wasn't it?
100%, bro.
Okay, 100%. And you didn't really strike it where you are now, or where you needed to be or wanted to be, but you kept grinding in the trenches and you joined the community in the first 3 years.
Absolutely.
And then around the 4th year, you struck gold. You struck iron, like oil started jumping out. And now you're with the sports teams. Now you're with the #1 motivational speaker in the world. Now you're headlining yourself. I know you're speaking. I know your itinerary. So that's why I appreciate your time. But the thing I want people to understand is that it didn't make a difference who else was in the running.
Oh, bro. Focus.
It didn't make a difference who else. You didn't even know who else was in the running. You're just consistently grinding and digging. You're digging your trenches. You're playing your game. You're not measuring yourself to the left or to the right. You're just measuring your game and being consistent and steady on your grind. And all of a sudden, lo and behold, You get a
Boom.
call from Coca-Cola.
Yep. Yep. True story, bro. True. And let me say this. Shaan has gifts, skills, and talents that no matter how hard I try for the rest of my life, I would never be able to do things. There are some specific things he can do the way I could never do them, and vice versa, right? And so to your point, Shaan, on when I got that call from Coke, all I did was be me. It sounds kind of crazy, and it sounds
Brand you is what I
oversimplified.
heard. All he did was be him. Brand you, not what you do. You're not in competition.
That's
You're
powerful,
in competition with your limiting beliefs
That's it.
of who you might not be good as, who you might not be able to compete with. But as long as you, go ahead, finish, brother. I'm sorry.
I got to tell this last story, Shaan.
I get excited, you know,
Oh,
brother.
no, you good. No, you actually just gave me some fuel. No, keep it coming. I'll tell this last story because I want to honor our time. I'll tell
Please
this last
do. Yes,
story.
sir.
So to the point you just made, brand you, not what you do, and the consistency. I'll close with this. When about 3 or 4 years ago, I had an opportunity to present to FedEx. And I presented the exact same thing that I presented to Coca-Cola. And FedEx, there was a person in the executive suite that said, well, you're not ICF, International Coaching Federation. You're not ICF certified.
Here we go.
So you can't, unfortunately, we can't let you in our pipeline. We already have coaches. We can't let. Now, to the point Shaan made earlier, and I'll wrap with this. Right there, you all, I could have quit, hung up the cleats,
Yep.
and walked away and said, man, unless I got an ICF certification, then guess what? There's no way I'll ever. So let me go, let me put everything on hold and let me go and spend all this time getting ICF certified.
Woo,
then I'll come back. This same exact presentation with just some different adjustments on my slides. I presented the same thing to Coca-Cola, a bigger brand, a larger company who found me online, and they said, we actually we've never seen this before. The clients, the company we have on file right now has been doing this for years, but nobody has ever presented what you just presented to us. It was the DNA of me. It was something I put together off my years of experience and just knowing the impact that it had on the people I work with. I'm like, ICF can't teach you this. So I refused to let a closed door and a no from FedEx at the time hinder me from continuing to pursue what I knew in the DNA of who I was. I knew that if I kept charting the course and kept getting up early in the morning, doing exactly what I was doing, that eventually the momentum would catch up. Now, here's what's crazy. Between us, we're on the line for a multi-7-figure contract with FedEx. By the way, we're just working through.
Let's go. Come on. And you know what? We just gonna put that in the energy, put that in the atmosphere. You're gonna get this one, brother. You're gonna get this one. You know why? The money's in the follow-up.
Yeah.
The money's in the follow-up, and consistency beats intensity every time. Brother, I thank you so much for your time. Give Anthony Flynn another round of applause.
Y'all be blessed. Shaan, I appreciate you, bro.
Yes, sir, brother. Thank you. I humbly thank you, brother, from the bottom of my heart. You know, a lot of people that I could have brought, and you were one of them. I thank you for being a good brother, being a husband, a father, having the right moral values and principles, because if you don't have those character traits, we can't rock. So I greatly appreciate those things about you. Please understand that, guys. If we don't mesh, we can't work together. I don't care what you make, who you are, what value you can provide. If you don't bring the moral fiber, then my brand won't sustain that. You understand? So look for people like yourself and make sure you yourself are of impeccable character and high value. Brother, thank you so much. I greatly appreciate your time, man. If you had a quotable, already, if you didn't write this down, guys, DNA of me. I caught it. DNA of me. Every time I listen to you, I learn something, right? My mind's like a mental recorder, so I just write it down while you say it in my head. But if you quotable, if you got one quotable, one sentence, 2 sentences top, to leave them and help me as I wrap up this business to brand Myrtle Beach Mastermind. You know you were part of the first one. This is the inaugural one, so we just made history. But thank you. Next time you'll probably be here physically. But what would be the quotable?
Don't overestimate who you actually are. at the expense of underestimating who you have the ability to become.
Woo. Say it again. Say it again,
Yeah.
brother.
Don't
Yeah. See what happens when you say condense it and focus it? Say it again.
Don't overestimate who you actually are or where you actually are at the expense of underestimating who you have the ability to become. Right? So if you, a lot of people spend their time dreaming and they're overestimating the reality of where they currently are. And so they get up and they move around as though their dream is already their reality. So they don't keep working to the speed that they should be working at and at the pace they should be working at, so they can actually build the dream that they have in their head. So many of us overestimate who and where we actually are. And we kind of since I had the dream and I'm energized by the dream, I'll pull back on the actual grind.
Yes, yes.
Yeah. So
that's the importance of marketing.
Yes. Yeah.
Wow. So I tell everybody all the time, brother, that the brand is the who, the marketing is the how. You have been of an immense and tremendous assistance in this mission that I have to help entrepreneurs make their yearly income monthly, their monthly income weekly, their weekly income daily, and go from maybe 5 figures to 6 figures or 6 figures to 7-figure earners. Thank you so much, Anthony Flynn. Guys, give it up.
Y'all be blessed, man. Y'all be blessed.
Come on. Now, I would never have anybody's wife be mad at me, brother. So please go give your wife the best from Shaan Rais and these phenomenal entrepreneurs here, and tell her I said thank you personally for allowing us to steal you for these 30 minutes.
Y'all be blessed, man.